The Amish can grow a whole year's worth of food in a space smaller than your garage, and one family even survived a winter blackout with just their garden harvest. No machines, no stores, no excuses, just dirt, scraps, and secrets passed down for centuries. Let us take a deep breath, because what you're about to learn may change your yard and your life forever. The dirt that feeds for a year. Ever feel like your wallet shrinks every time you buy a tomato while your yard somehow stays the size of a shoebox? Happens to a lot of folks. Many people dream of growing their own food, but they think they need some big old farm with rows and rows of plants. Truth is, you don't. The Amish? They've got a whole different playbook, and it's something anyone can try, even with just a patch of dirt or a few pots. What they do next might just flip your whole idea of growing food on its head. These folks have been growing their meals for more generations than anyone can count on their fingers and toes. They've learned to grow a whole year's worth of food in spaces smaller than your garage. What makes their ways special? It's simple stuff done real smart. No big machines, no flashing gadgets, just plain old know-how, elbow grease, and good dirt. Here's the secret: compost. They build piles about 3 feet by 3 feet wide. The first layer, dry stuff, leaves, straw, paper shreds. Then comes green stuff, grass clippings, veggie scraps, old plants. Every few layers they sprinkle in a handful of soil to keep things moving. This adds friendly bacteria that break everything down into sweet-smelling compost. And they don't stop at just kitchen scraps. They throw in eggshells for calcium, coffee grounds for a boost of nitrogen, and even bits of wool for a slow drip of nutrients. You'd be amazed what those scraps can do. One banana peel today becomes plant fuel tomorrow. Every little piece matters. Now, once that soil's ready, the Amish don't just scatter seeds and hope for the best. They plan. Every season has a plan. They rotate their crops so the soil stays happy. Heavy eaters like corn come first, soaking up nutrients. Then they follow with peas or beans that give nutrients back. Next comes leafy stuff like lettuce, then root crops like carrots and beets. This kind of rotation helps the dirt stay full of life and able to hold on to water. And it's not just a little water. Amish-tended soil can hang on to tens of thousands of gallons per acre. That's like a whole kiddie pool hiding underground. It saves rain for sunny days, keeping your plants cool and fed even when skies are dry. When the veggies are taking a break, the Amish plant cover crops like clover, rye, and buckwheat. These little heroes keep the soil from washing away and add more nutrients while they're at it. The idea is simple. You've got to give back to the dirt if you want it to give to you. Instead of fancy fertilizers, they use nature's leftovers. Manure aged 6 months or more adds muscle to the soil. Fishy water called emulsion gives a quick boost. Compost tea, a mix made by soaking finished compost in water, turns into plant juice packed with helpful stuff. With this soil setup, plants don't just grow. They explode. Strong roots, tall stems, big harvests. It's like giving your garden a double shot of espresso. And when your plants are healthy, they're better at standing up to bugs, weather, and whatever else comes crawling. Speaking of crawlers, let's talk pests. Garden invaders can ruin your harvest fast if you're not ready. But instead of spraying chemicals that stick around forever, the Amish use tricks from nature. They plant marigolds to confuse insects. The smell keeps many bad bugs guessing. Garlic between rows acts like a natural bug block. They also mix different plants together. Basil near tomatoes helps both. Lavender brings in helpful bees and keeps the moths away. And they use plants like traps. Nasturtiums attract bugs away from your good crops. It's like a decoy game where the bugs always lose. In the early morning light, Amish gardeners go on patrol. They look under leaves, along stems, and on the soil. Any bugs they don't want get picked off by hand. Into the soapy bucket they go. It may not be fancy, but it's effective. One less bug means fewer eggs, fewer problems. They also call on backup. Ladybugs, frogs, garden snakes, birds, all are welcome in an Amish garden. These critters chow down on pests like it's a bug buffet. One ladybug can eat thousands of aphids in its life. Toads eat even more. And birds? They snack on caterpillars, beetles, and even mice. Add a water dish with stones for a bird bath and you've got a bird army on your side, sick of tiny gardens and big grocery bills. Let's fix that. The unseen battle against garden pests. Every single morning, Amish gardeners go on what they call pest patrol. Armed with nothing but gloves and a bucket of soapy water, they handpick the troublemakers right off their plants. Some people might squirm at the thought of squishing a potato beetle with their fingers, but to the Amish, every bug eliminated is one less enemy in the battle for fresh food. Forget chemicals. These folks take matters into their own hands, literally. It's old school, it's gritty, and it works better than you'd think. And if that wasn't enough, they've got another ace up their sleeve: natural predators. Instead of fighting nature, they make it work for them. They plant beneficial highways, strips of native flowers and herbs that bring in garden-friendly insects like ladybugs and praying mantises. A single ladybug can eat thousands of aphids in its lifetime. Try getting results like that from a spray bottle. The Amish even leave small brush piles near their gardens, giving shelter to toads and garden snakes. Toads alone can devour tens of thousands of insects in a single season. See a toad in your garden? The Amish say you should tip your hat. It's working harder than you are. Birds also play a huge role. Just a shallow dish of water with a few stones can attract insect-hungry birds that provide free pest control. And here's a fun fact. If birds suddenly go quiet, it means a hawk is around keeping rabbits and rodents in check. Their methods are so effective that their crop losses to pests are often less than 10%, sometimes even better than gardens doused in chemicals. And while synthetic pesticides break down soil over time, Amish gardens only get stronger every year. But pest control is just one piece of the whole thing. The Amish have also mastered the art of growing an insane amount of food in tiny spaces. Most people think of sprawling fields when they imagine Amish farming, but some of their most productive spaces are actually modest greenhouses. These aren't high-tech glass palaces, they're simple, practical structures designed for efficiency. A typical Amish greenhouse might be only 12 by 20 feet, yet it churns out food like a full-sized farm. How? It's all about smart design. While most gardeners get 1 or 2 harvests per year, Amish greenhouses can pump out up to 4 full cycles of crops annually. That's fresh tomatoes all year round instead of just a few months. And here's the kicker: they don't even need artificial heating. Instead, they use something called passive solar heating. The north wall of the greenhouse is made of dark-colored stone or concrete, which absorbs heat during the day and slowly releases it at night. This keeps the temperature up to 15 degrees warmer than outside, even in the dead of winter. But wait, it gets better. For even more warmth, they use what's known as the manure method. Fresh horse manure layered with straw in deep trenches creates heat as it decomposes. 1 wheelbarrow of manure can keep 100 square feet warm for 2 whole months. It's a heating system that fuels itself, and the Amish have been using it for generations. And that's not even the only trick in their playbook. The layout inside an Amish greenhouse is a masterpiece of efficiency. Tall plants like tomatoes grow along the back wall so they don't shade out shorter crops. Medium-height plants take up the middle space, and low-growing greens thrive in the sunny front. Every inch is put to use. Herbs and strawberries even hang in containers between rows. Airflow is managed through simple roll-up sides and roof vents using pulleys instead of electricity. The goal? Let the greenhouse breathe naturally. The Amish say it should be as steady as a sleeping baby. Watering is another genius setup. Rainwater collected from the roof fills barrels inside the greenhouse, storing water for later use while also acting as a natural temperature stabilizer. These barrels warm up during the day and slowly release heat overnight, keeping the greenhouse cozy. Another trick? Dark painted water jugs placed between plants absorb sunlight and create tiny warm zones for delicate crops. Every little detail adds up to a self-sustaining system that's low maintenance and high yield. Most people think you need a big farm to grow lots of food, but the Amish show how small spaces can feed a whole family. The crops that feed Amish families. But the real magic comes down to knowing what to grow. The Amish don't waste space on crops that take forever to mature or don't produce much. They focus on what they call power crops, the ones that give the most food for the least effort. Root vegetables are at the top of the list. Carrots, potatoes, and beets don't just grow efficiently, they're also storage friendly, providing food long after the growing season is over. A single 4x4-foot bed of carrots can produce over 25 pounds of food. That's months of fresh carrots from a tiny patch of dirt. Then there are climbing beans, pole varieties like Kentucky Wonder and Blue Lake. These can produce 3 times more beans per square foot than bush beans. But here's the genius part. Amish gardeners grow them in what they call living towers. A single pole can support half a dozen bean plants, turning vertical space into a food factory. These beans also improve the soil by fixing nitrogen, making it richer for the next round of crops. No need for store-bought fertilizers when nature can handle the job for free. Leafy greens are another must-have. Kale, Swiss chard, and collards are cut-and-come-again crops, meaning you can keep harvesting leaves all season long instead of waiting for a single harvest. The Amish even have a trick for keeping greens tender in the heat. Plant them in partial shade so they don't bolt and turn bitter. Every choice they make is about maximizing yield with minimal space, and it works like a charm. The Amish don't waste an inch of space when it comes to growing food, and they don't waste their time on trends that won't last. Instead of sprawling orchards, they grow dwarf fruit trees that stay small but give big. A tiny apple tree, barely taller than a grown man, can crank out over 50 pounds of fruit every year. They also stick with self-pollinating varieties like North Pole apples, meaning they don't need an army of trees to get results. Herbs aren't just about flavor for them. They pull triple duty, adding taste to meals, working as medicine, and keeping pests in check. While modern gardeners chase after the next big thing, the Amish let nature do some of the work. They favor crops that reseed themselves, meaning free plants, every year without lifting a finger. Cherry tomatoes, dill, and certain lettuces pop back up like clockwork. One Amish farmer even joked that these volunteer plants are the best workers because they don't need food, water, or paychecks. And when it comes to storage, they aren't filling freezers with fragile produce. They pick vegetables and fruits that last for months, like storage onions and hard-skinned squash, ensuring fresh food all winter long. Even their summer crops are chosen carefully. No single harvest flops here. They plant varieties that keep producing all season long instead of giving one big yield and calling it quits. But picking the right crops is only half the battle. The real challenge is fitting all that food into limited space. The Amish make every square inch count using what they call the sky-to-earth method. They don't just grow on the ground, they go up, down, and all around. Trellises aren't just decorative, they're essential. Using cattle panels, wooden branches, and twine, they create walls of food. One simple panel, standing about as tall as a basketball hoop, can hold over 60 pounds of vegetables. And it's not just beans and peas climbing these structures. Cucumbers grow straight up, making them easier to pick. Even heavy crops like squash and melons dangle from vines, supported by slings. The real genius is in the layering. Amish gardens don't just spread out, they stack up. At the highest level, vines and climbing plants create shade. At eye level, beans and other mid-level growers thrive. Below, leafy greens soak up the filtered light. This three-tiered approach turns a small garden into a powerhouse, but they don't stop there. Their raised beds are another game changer. These garden beds, about 4 feet across, are just wide enough to reach the center without stepping on the soil. And they push plants closer together than most gardeners dare. Where standard advice is to give a cabbage 2 feet to grow, the Amish give it just 16 inches and still get great results. The Amish don't waste space. Every plant has a place, and they use smart ways to grow more food in less room. The gardening tools that last a lifetime. They also don't let containers go to waste. Old barrels, water troughs, even broken buckets, all fair game for growing food. They fill them with compact plants that make every inch count. A single container might hold a dwarf fruit tree surrounded by herbs with strawberries spilling over the sides. Even their fencing doubles as trellises, pulling double duty. Some Amish gardeners build full tunnels between their beds using bent cattle panels. These structures not only create walkways, but also provide climbing space for more crops. In these tunnels, a single foot of space can grow over 20 pounds of vegetables. And then there's what happens underground. The Amish don't ignore the soil beneath their feet. Root crops share space with above-ground plants, filling every layer. Radishes sprout between rows of lettuce. Carrots grow under pea vines. Potatoes nestle below corn stalks. As they say, a good garden is built like a layer cake, each level doing its job to create abundance. Of course, keeping a garden like this in shape takes the right tools. While most people drop hundreds of dollars on fancy electric tillers, the Amish stick with time-tested hand tools. Their tools aren't just old-fashioned, they're built to last for generations. Take the hoe, for example. While the average gardener might have one or two, an Amish farmer has a full lineup. There's the stirrup hoe, which slices weeds at the root without disturbing the soil. The Warren hoe, with its pointed tip, makes perfect planting furrows. And the trusty draw hoe, a multi-purpose tool for weeding, hilling, and even harvesting root crops. They take the same approach with trowels. Forget flimsy, store-bought versions. Amish trowels are made from high-carbon steel, strong enough to last a lifetime. Many are handcrafted, perfectly balanced to fit the gardener's grip. As one Amish grower puts it, a good trowel should outlive its owner. For loosening soil, they skip the power tillers and reach for a broad fork, a hefty two-handled tool with deep tines that aerate the soil without flipping it. It might take longer, but it preserves the natural soil structure, keeping it healthy for years to come. Their pruning tools are just as thoughtful. Hand pruners stay razor sharp, making clean cuts that heal quickly. Pruning saws are chosen based on the job. Fine-toothed ones for delicate fruit trees, larger ones for trimming vines and shrubs. They even wear leather holsters on their belts to keep tools handy and safe. And then there's the dibber, a simple wooden stick for poking holes in the soil. But leave it to the Amish to improve on something so basic. Their dibbers often have depth markings to ensure uniform planting. Some even include grooves to hold just the right number of seeds. The Amish don't just build tools, they craft them with purpose, and it shows. Take their wheelbarrow, for example. While most people struggle with flat tires and flimsy frames, Amish-made wheelbarrows roll smoothly with steel wheels that never go flat. The tray isn't just a tub, it's slightly tapered, making dumping loads almost effortless. The handles, positioned for the best leverage, cutting back strain so efficiently it makes you wonder why modern versions aren't built the same way. They cost a pretty penny, sure, but they last practically forever. Harvesting isn't just about picking crops, it's about efficiency, and Amish baskets are proof. Hand-woven from split oak or hickory, these baskets are lightweight yet ridiculously strong. Their slightly sloped sides make them easy to stack when empty, freeing up valuable storage space. The weave is tight enough to hold even small produce like cherry tomatoes, but loose enough to let dirt shake through. It's craftsmanship with function at its core. And then there's water, something the Amish handle with the same level of precision. Modern watering cans can be clunky, but theirs, perfectly balanced to reduce wrist strain and designed to deliver gentle streams that won't crush delicate seedlings. Even their rain gauges are works of art, often handmade from recycled glass and marked with precise measurements to track rainfall over the season. Nothing is left to chance. But here's the real kicker: their tool maintenance. It's not just a habit, it's a ritual. Every tool gets cleaned and oiled after use, edges stay sharp, and wooden handles get regular linseed oil treatments to prevent splitting. To them, a well-maintained tool is like a well-trained horse, responsive, reliable, and a joy to work with. Growing food is one thing, but keeping it alive through dry, hot days is where the Amish really know what they're doing. Why Amish gardens stay green in a drought? Of course, all the best tools in the world won't help if you waste water. The average American garden drinks up to 3,000 gallons per month in growing season. Amish gardens, less than half that, and they still grow more. It's not about rationing, it's about making every drop count. Their water strategy starts with rain collection, where multiple barrels capture runoff from every available surface. But these aren't just barrels sitting in a yard, they're linked in an intelligent system, complete with a first flush diverter that filters out dust and debris before water even reaches the storage tanks. Overflow pipes ensure that no rainwater is wasted, storing hundreds of gallons from a single storm. Their irrigation is just as smart. Instead of relying on expensive plastic drip lines, they use clay ollas, unglazed ceramic pots buried near plant roots. These release water slowly, delivering moisture exactly where it's needed while cutting evaporation loss by 70%. One olla can keep a 3-foot radius hydrated for days without refilling. It's low-tech, but it works better than anything you'd buy in a garden store. Mulching plays a huge role in their water conservation strategy, but here's where they flip the script. Instead of using store-bought mulch, they create living mulch systems. Fast-growing, shallow-rooted plants like purslane and creeping thyme cover the soil between crops, locking in moisture, suppressing weeds, and even providing additional food. It's a 3-for-1 solution that modern gardens could seriously learn from. Hand watering? There's a method for that too. Instead of daily, shallow watering, they water deeply just once or twice a week. This forces roots to grow downward, making plants more drought-resistant. Their watering cans often have special rose heads designed to deliver gentle, soil-friendly streams. Some even modify their cans with different spray patterns. Fine mist for seedlings, stronger streams for established plants. Every decision is deliberate. Timing is everything. The Amish water early in the morning before the sun gets too strong, allowing leaves to dry before nightfall and reducing disease risk. They also use what they call prophetic watering, giving plants extra deep drinks when the weather hints at a dry spell ahead. It's a combination of experience and foresight that keeps their gardens thriving when others struggle. And then there's the hidden trick beneath their raised beds: buried water reservoirs. Layers of composted wood materials act like natural sponges, soaking up moisture and slowly releasing it over time. Just 1 cubic foot of this material can hold over 1.5 gallons of water, creating a backup supply for when the soil dries out. It's like nature's version of drip irrigation, only without the plastic tubing and maintenance headaches. Water waste? Not in an Amish garden. Household gray water, like the water from washing vegetables or rinsing dishes, is carefully collected and used on ornamental plants and fruit trees. They even plant water-loving crops like elderberries and raspberries where they can naturally catch runoff. Every drop is used wisely. But perhaps their most genius move is the keyhole garden. Picture a circular raised bed with a central compost tower. Watering the compost tower filters nutrients straight into the surrounding soil, creating a self-sustaining irrigation system. This method cuts water use by up to 80% compared to traditional gardening, proving once again that the simplest ideas are often the smartest. Even garden layout plays into their drought planning. They group plants by water needs, placing drought-tolerant species as protective barriers around thirstier crops. When dry spells hit, they get extra creative, using slow-release methods like placing small cups or bottles with tiny holes near plant bases for gradual watering. Every plant gets exactly what it needs, nothing more, nothing less. And here's something modern agriculture completely overlooks: the role of pollinators. The Amish don't just think about water, they think about the creatures that help their crops thrive. Their water features attract bees, butterflies, and other beneficial insects, ensuring their plants get properly pollinated. While commercial farms rely on rented honeybee colonies, Amish gardens sustain native pollinators year-round. They don't just plant flowers because they're pretty, they strategically design pollinator-friendly areas that bloom continuously from early spring through late fall. Their gardens hum with life, and it pays off in bountiful harvests. Spring kicks off with flowers like crocus and winter aconite, calling in the first bees of the year. Later, asters and goldenrod take over, making sure pollinators stay busy before winter sets in. The Amish know exactly how to keep these tiny workers around, offering a steady supply of blooms rather than leaving them to wander elsewhere. Mason bees are among their favorites, with just a handful of them doing the job of hundreds of honeybees. Instead of fancy store-bought hives, they build simple shelters using hollow reeds or drilled wooden blocks, placing them in sunlit spots safe from rain. Butterflies also get their fair share of attention. The Amish plant flowers like zinnias and cosmos, which serve as perfect landing pads for these delicate creatures. They even go the extra mile by keeping small mud puddles around, Because yes, butterflies actually need minerals from damp soil for reproduction. Flat stones are placed nearby to soak up the sun, giving butterflies a warm spot to rest. But none of this happens randomly. The Amish follow a carefully planned stepping stone layout, ensuring there's never more than 20 feet between flower patches. This way, bees and butterflies can travel safely across the entire garden. Are the Amish truly holding the ultimate key to survival, or have modern farming methods blinded us to a simpler, better way? Tell us what you think, and remember to like and subscribe for more.